This is Martin Giles of the Guildford Dragon News, and this afternoon I'm with the director of the Yvonne Arnaud Theatre, Joanna Reid. Joanna, thank you very much for joining the Guildford Dragon.
Thank you for inviting me.
And you would have heard the news this morning about the government deciding to grant over £1.5 billion pounds in a support package to be given to the arts throughout the United Kingdom. Do you know when that's going to be given to you? Your share?
No, we don't. We have no details of yet about the package. I mean, it's terrific news. We're really excited and delighted. It's a great statement of support for the theatre industry, but as of yet, no details.
But do you have any guidance as to the amounts going to the different levels of the theatres?
So the press release I've seen has broken the sum of 1.57 billion down into, I think it's about 800 million for loans, 800 million for grants, 270 million for loans. They've mentioned 100 million going to the national companies such as the RSC and the National Theatre, I assume. But the details at the moment are very headline. So we wait to see what the Arnaud may be able to.
Okay, but what differences do these grants make? You received quite recently one from Arts Council England for 30, was that 30,000?
35,000.
35,000.
Yeah.
Yes, what difference do these grants make?
Well, we're not a nationally funded organisation, so we're not funded by the Arts Council. We get support from Guildford Borough Council, for which we're incredibly grateful for because that keeps us going. And the rest of our income is raised from the box office and from supporters and donations and philanthropic donations. So obviously with no box office income coming in, our situation was critical, and the emergency support of 35,000 from the Arts Council was very rare. It was the first time in 10 years that we'd received Arts Council funding. It was terrific, but if you think that our turnover is 4 million, 35,000 is quite a small drop in the ocean. I wait to see what we can, we might be in line for in terms of the rescue package that the government have announced. I'm hopeful that there may be something in there for the Yvonne Arnaud.
Okay, now you said there the situation is critical. Just how precarious is the future of the Yvonne Arnaud? How worried should Guildford as a community be?
Well, I don't want to unnecessarily worry people, but it's a very challenging time for the theatre, as I'm sure our audience and supporters are aware. We're dark at the moment because we have to be. We've been told to close by the government, and until we reopen, we can't generate income from box office sales. We are focusing on the long-term survival of the theatre, and this is why the announcement of this funding package from the government is such a good thing to hear. It makes me positive that there will be a future for the Yvonne Arnaud. It may not be in the next 3 months that we're able to open. It may not be the next 6 months. We may not be able to open for Panto, but we are absolutely determined that we'll be open in the spring, that we will be here for the next 5 years, 10 years, and the next 50 years. It's really important for us that we play the long game and make sure that theatre survives for the future for everybody in Guildford.
Good. And you've received guidance, I understand, for a phased return to giving performances. How are you expecting that to pan out?
Well, the guidance that the government issued, I think 2 weeks ago now, it was in 5 steps. There was nothing surprising in the guidance. It was about rehearsing behind closed doors, putting that work online. Step 3 is performances outdoors. Step 5, which is the step I'm interested in, is indoor theatre running at full capacity, which is what the Yvonne Arnaud needs to be able to operate financially successfully. The challenge for us at the moment is the guidelines were published without any dates. So we need dates from the government. That's what we're waiting for now.
Okay, so that makes it difficult. But what are your plans and expectations over the next few months as we progress through the pandemic?
I think it's fair to say our plans are very fluid. We're trying to be flexible so that we can respond to the changes as they come about. We are thinking about things like we do have a cinema program here, so now you can operate a cinema. We're looking to see if we can do a socially distanced cinema. We're looking to see if we could put one-person plays together in the autumn. We're talking to the book festival about whether we can host their work in the autumn. Really, if we can be open and be financially viable, we will be. It may not be in the way people expect, if you like, the traditional Arnaud programme, but we think anything we can do to get a few people through the doors would be very, very helpful. And as soon as we're able to, we'll come back with the full sort of drama, comedy and musical programme that everybody knows us for.
And do you think it's fair that we're allowed to travel cooped up on a plane for hours, but not in a theatre? Should theatre goers be able to assess their own risks?
Well, it's very complicated, because you're absolutely right. People should take charge of their own risk. And I know, for example, my daughter is a Timothée Chalamet fan, and she's desperate to get back to the Old Vic and see the production that was cancelled there. And she's 18, and she's, you know, much less worried about her own health and well-being. The issue for theatres are that it's not just people making the choice to come and see the work. It's also that we won't be in control of certain aspects of how we run. So, for example, if we put a production on and I'm running it for 2 weeks, if a member of the company then gets sick or has COVID and we have to stand the production down, the financial loss to the theatre could be catastrophic. That's the tremendous risk for us. The same is true for pantomime. If we run pantomime and, for example, the COVID rate spikes and there's a local lockdown, for example, in Surrey, and we're told to close again, that could be catastrophic for the theatre. So we're balancing financial risk and the uncertainty of that with audiences' desire to get back into the theatre. And it's very tricky, because I think that audience desire is mixed. We have had a lot of people saying, we're desperate to come back, we'll be back with you. And we've had a lot of people saying, we'll be back with you, we really value what we do, we'll be back when it's safe. And, you know, define safe. It's when they feel comfortable to be back in the theatre. So it's very tricky. There are many things that we're juggling here.
Okay, Joanna Reid, Director of the Yvonne Arnaud Theatre, thank you very much. And I'm sure many of our readers wish you all the very best in your efforts to keep the theatre going, because many of us love coming.
Thank you so much. It's really kind of you. Thank you. It's great to speak to you.